Hey everyone, welcome to this week's episode of the Empowered Teams podcast. I'm Eric.
And I'm Toby, and we look forward to having a chat with you. This is only the fourth time that we've just tried this, so we're having a bit of fun to do today. And we're going to try and do something a little bit more different in terms of content. We're actually going to use one of the articles that we've written on Medium, and we're going to try and talk through this article. We're going to and obviously make some of the key points relevant to you, but we're actually following some counsel and advice in terms of content creation for the way that we, I suppose, create value from the written documents that we have and from the verbal discussions that we want to be able to create. And also, I suppose, to make learning easier for you guys out there listening to this. So the subject... sorry, Eric.
No problem. Just to make sure it's clear for everyone, for those watching on YouTube, you'll see the article on screen here. And for anyone listening to the audio version of the podcast, we'll put the link in the description, so you should find that below. Go ahead.
Yeah, and I think I'm going to do this at the beginning and the end, but if you guys like what we're doing, then, please press the like button down there and please subscribe. It really helps us.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah.
So the subject of today's podcast is disrupting the disruption, the power of soft skills. In this case, we're going to be using the rebranded name for soft skills that we call PowerSkills. And part of that then begins with the definition, Eric, is one, what is soft skills? And two, why do people say power skills?
Yeah, that's what I was going to ask. What's the difference, if there is a difference? Why the rebranding, right?
Yeah, I was asking you that.
Okay, I guess I get to answer. No, well, I mean, it sort of makes sense when you think about it. There's this opposition between hard skills and soft skills. And traditionally, there's this idea that, hard skills are everything that's sort of knowledge-based, everything you can learn or master from a purely either knowledge or practical point of view. Whereas soft skills are about... It's more about how you do things. It's more about how you work together with other people, how you work with your own emotions, with your own thoughts, with your own abilities. And generally, we're talking communication, collaboration, leadership in general. These sort of notions that are not tied to something you can read in a book and understand immediately. There's something you actually have to go in and do in order to understand, learn, and be able to put into practice, right?
Yeah. Can I build on that and say,
go ahead.
So hard skills, one of the things about hard skills is it's really macho. I'm an expert. I'm a specialist. I've developed a level of knowledge that very few other people have around this subject area. That's why people come to me, and it becomes part of my ego as well. I am this expert, We see this in medicine, we see this in science, we certainly see this in business areas where it's accountancy, law, and so on and so forth. The problem with hard skills nowadays, if it's factual at its essence, then it's going to become an app, right? It's a sell-by date. And if anybody has not read the writing on the wall for that, then they ought to. I mean, we can see accountancies, or the practice of accountancy, is becoming an app more and more. If you're in the world of business and you deal with accountants, it's an app.
Yeah. And to add a layer of context, I think what's important to understand here is if you sort of go back in time a bit, it used to be that, sharing information and sharing knowledge was a really slow, cumbersome, and often unattainable process, right? You had to find an encyclopedia if you wanted to learn lots of stuff. Communication generally, and then after, more recently, the internet completely changed that. And what's happening is now we're getting to the point where knowledge is not just available, it's becoming a part of software, a part of systems in the general sense. So, it started with stuff like Wikipedia making everything available at a click, and you can sort of click through links and get to more knowledge and more information. But now we've got stuff with like large language models, a la ChatGPT, completely, taking that knowledge, or actually, even if they don't, they have the ability, and they will grow that ability in the next months and years to take that knowledge and apply it to a specific need. So
Right.
lots of what we know is now something that's available to computers and to systems in general. So when you say we're getting turned into apps, or our knowledge is, it really is, and that is happening very fast at the moment.
Yeah. And it's happening to whole fields. Not, I mean, I don't have a negative view of this. I feel there's a positive aspect to this because in some areas it can be really, really beneficial. I think in areas of medicine, you're going to go to a legal, if you want, robot AI dude, and you're going to ask questions, and it's going to be able to answer a
Yeah,
lot of the stuff, and everybody's going, yeah, but ChatGPT makes mistakes now. Yeah, well,
yeah,
sure it does. I guarantee you, lawyers make mistakes as well, and it costs you a hell of a lot more, right? So
yeah, and it's
only
also that
use China.
idea. Yeah, it's also that idea that these systems are still, to a certain extent, in their infancy. So
Yeah, but
yes, they make mistakes. They are not perfect yet, but the yet is the
yeah,
important part. They are
but
getting
with all
there.
respect, yeah, but so are the humans
Yeah, yeah,
when the doctors cut the wrong leg off,
yeah.
or the lawyers give the wrong advice, or the accountants make mistakes. So hang on a second. All
Yeah.
right. So we know there's a trend coming this way. But when we talk about knowledge, we're not just talking about knowledge in general, that's important. We're talking about expertise and specialist within certain genres of knowledge. All right. That's what we mean by hard skills. And those hard skills now have become commodified.
Yeah.
So that's add into what we mean by soft skills. We say soft because it's not tangible in the same way hard skills, and hard skills for many people is more attractive. Well, primarily because it's easier, right? That's the thing. But it's macho and it's hard. So soft skills, right? It's key components are around emotional, social, and collaborative intelligence. And we also add into this nowadays, which moves it towards power skills because power skills is more relevant to the business world.
Yeah.
These are the skills that are going to move your business to be innovative, to be creative, and to be able to adapt to the times that we're living in. So we'll
Yep.
just hold the times we're living in just a bit and just come back that here, power skills. If you've created a culture
Hmm.
that's primarily organized around hard skills,
Yeah.
and you've created a training structure that's organized around the hierarchy of hard skills. Those who attended the top universities, those that have got the best exams sit at
Yeah.
the top of the hierarchy. These are the IQ priests of the business. They're the ones who make the decisions, right? They are going to have real difficulty understanding what soft skills are because in order to move up this organization, you probably want to leave soft skills behind. Right? Read Machiavelli rather than David Goldman.
Yeah.
Right. So here, what's changing the game? Well, the biggest challenge that we face right now is constant change, disruption, digital revolutions, scientific and technical advancement, all generating a social upheaval. Right.
Yeah.
All of this is coming together. So what we're actually beginning to face is a dynamic that not everybody's woken up to, which is that impermanence, right, is now being, I suppose, subsumed by the title, polycrisis, permanent crisis,
Yeah.
both for individuals, organizations, and cultures.
Yeah.
So when we look at hard skills and we look at soft skills, which one is going to be the survival kit that you're going to need? Well, we know that hard skills are being commodified with the speed the technology is being able to replicate the skill sets,
Yeah.
the tech skill sets, tech in the broadest sense here, right? Well, even dev tech
Oh, for
is
sure.
going to be commodified, you know.
But,
So here, what we're looking at soft skills is going to be the fulcrum for where innovation, creativity, adaptability, resilience, and endurance. This is where the power and these the skills and the competencies within which you're going to have to marshal your teams.
yep.
Does that make sense?
Yeah, totally.
Within this environment.
And I think one of the things, sort of, to one of the ways to frame that, in your mind, is to think that, as as technology and various systems and robotics sort of take that role of applying hard skills, and sort of become the owners of that, our role, right, us humans, our role in the game is going to have to be to fall back and sort of concentrate on the soft skills to guide the technology, to get it to go in the right direction, to get it to do the right thing at the right moment. And I'm not just talking, writing prompts in ChatGPT or whatever. I'm talking, teams in a business, sort of the general direction a company goes in, the trying to find new ideas, new ways to use the technology, new ways to work together with people, with tech, with all of it mixed together. All that is a direct result of your ability to use soft skills.
Let's throw something new into the game
Yeah.
that's not really discussed. Generally, it's not discussed because in the IQ centric hard skills business, emotions really don't get a look in.
Yeah.
All right. Here, what we talk about is that soft skills, power skills, right, is relative to the control you have of negative emotions. That's the primary function of soft skills at its foundational level, because the negative emotions of fear, uncertainty, doubt, right? These form themselves into the foundation of groupthink.
Yeah.
And that form of groupthink at this level, all right, is that where people operate with what Chris Argyris calls skilled unawareness, skilled incompetence. Right. And what are the key components of this is where we're looking at self-censure. So people don't say what they really think and feel. They say what they think you want to hear, or they say what they think is not going to create conflict, is not going to upset people. And this is an implicit and unwritten rule that people play by.
Yeah.
They will not say things that upset the status quo, that upset that. They will censure themselves and other people so that there's a flow. Even if the flow of activity leaves you all to drop off a cliff,
Yeah.
which is what groupthink generally gets you to do. And that self-censure leads to a compromise based on consensus, right? None of these three things, so self-censure, compromise, and consensus, lead to innovation. They are the enemies of innovation. They are the enemies of creativity, and people operate at a group level like this. Right? So when we talk about soft skills and power skills, what they're able to do is to unlock the negative mind, which nobody discusses, but which you can see. Particularly, you can see it in sports teams when they're competing in the finals and the semi-finals, and you find that the two teams are equal technically, but it's the team that has the better mental attitude, the more innovative attitude, the attitude that doesn't give up. This is soft skills,
Yeah.
all right? And then you're facing negative emotions, or we can't do this. You know, if you go, the sentences that you've got above there, because in a highly complex, fast-moving environment, fear, uncertainty, and doubt are going to be the key components of what people feel.
Yeah.
You know,
I think it's actually kind of interesting what you were bringing up there, where it's very common in sports to see people talk about being in the right mindset, having your head in the game, sort of that notion that the way you think will affect the way you act. It's sort of
yeah,
a very standard method of thinking about sports, but in business, it's and in life in general, I think it's something we tend to avoid or not think about as much. I know there are movements, cultural movements that sort of bring this to light, but it's true that when we're talking about skill sets, like getting a job, it's never something that we look at. It's like
no,
are you motivated? Yes. Well, okay, you said yes. Can you prove it?
right, no, no. And if you scroll the article up a bit, down a bit, whichever way that goes, you start to see. If you just come back that, so that what we've got is that anger,
Yeah.
and it's like a slow burning anger, right? It permeates organizations and groups of people. And generally, it's an irritability,
Yeah.
right? That comes up, and it comes up in our thoughts, it comes up in the way we speak, and it comes up in our actions, and later on, it comes up physically because you spend a while, living with this anger. It makes you ill.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely, and I'd go even a bit further, and with that notion of learned incapacity, I think that one of the things that happens is culturally, we're sort of forced into the notion that we have to, you know, we have to act politely and act well within the environment we're living in. So that anger is often sort of turned into passive aggressiveness or other forms of sort of masking it, right? Trying to act as if you weren't angry, even though you absolutely are. Forms of resentment that come through in actions and things like that. So there's this sort of framework in which you have to actively hide any form of negative emotion about anything in your work, in your relationships with your colleagues, in the tasks that are assigned to you, or your, whatever. Even though those feelings are present and are continuously affecting how you act, how you perform, if you want to, go down that route. So it's important when we're talking about communication, collaboration. When we're talking about soft skills or power skills in general, it's not just being able to communicate more politely. No, it's actually being able to say, I am angry about this. I disagree about this, and finding ways to handle that individually, but also as a group, right?
Well, I think for us as a team, and we've been working together for many years,
Yeah.
you know, the use of de Bono's six thinking hats that allows you to dump your emotions into red hat.
Yeah.
I feel this,
Yeah.
right? And also, I suppose, it comes back to your sport example, right? You've got the two teams, right? So what is it the team that doesn't have the mental attitude? Why don't these guys learn from the ones that do? Because in the same way in business, right? Because what happens when leadership teams do not have emotional intelligence is that their norms and values of how they express or don't express their emotions are what other people follow, right?
Yeah.
And most of the time, it's too scary to do the emperor's got no clothes. There's no processes. There's no routes for people to say what they really feel and that those feelings have value.
Yeah.
Because in a hard skills based organization, anybody below the board level, their views are irrelevant
Yeah.
because they don't have the IQ level necessary to be able to make decisions, which is just crazy, isn't it? You know,
Yeah.
absolutely nuts when you think about the lost opportunity of leveraging innovative ideas from your people.
To a certain
This
extent, I think one of the ways, and this is a pretty classic and sort of it's nothing new, but one of the ways of thinking about it is in a traditional structure, you are simply literally a cog in a machine. Your role is not to create stuff. Your role is just to keep the machine rolling, right? It's just to
yeah,
keep everything going in the way it currently is going,
that's,
and
that's
that
hard
is
skills.
yeah, and that is completely disastrous when you're in a situation where change is surrounding you because the machine keeps
Yeah.
going on doing the same thing, but the environment has completely shifted. So
But
that
it's
creates a
also that, yeah, but it's coming back to that thing that somehow IQ and exams equal these are the only people that can make decisions.
yeah,
If anybody out, if you don't fit in in that small block of elite people, the rest of the people, their views, they're irrelevant. They're just the only difference is they're human robots versus
yeah,
real robots, and soon they'll all be changed anyway. All right,
yeah,
which is just crazy.
yeah,
Soft skills are not taught at school. Curiosity,
yeah,
investigation, critical analysis, create creative thinking. All right, collaborate, being able to collaborate and communicate.
yeah.
These are not hard skills. You can't learn them in a 1 day course.
No.
All right,
It,
they're
I think some people might say here that yes, you do learn some of that at school, and I think the way to think about it is if you're lucky, you got teachers or people around you. Not sometimes it's the other students, not even the teachers, that pushed you, either on purpose or just because that's how things worked out, push you to use those skills. So yes, in school you might learn some of those skills, but that's not the point of school. You're not graded on your ability to use them. You're graded on your knowledge for the most part. So
well, you're
it's more incidental when it does happen.
I remember, I think it was a parent or a school teacher saying to my daughter when she was writing an essay, "You can have too much imagination." And I was like, wow, right.
Wow. Yeah.
Imagination is a soft skill. It's
Yeah.
not a hard skill, right?
Yeah.
Imagination is the core component of power skills. People can say, why am I talking about? No, because what imagination does is it allows you to create a sense of a future self,
Hmm.
of positive emotions, right? That you can dress yourself with, and you can address those emotions to your future states. So you can imagine imagine yourself positively,
Yeah.
because that imagination created into a habit counters fear, uncertainty, and doubt.
Yeah.
Because fear, uncertainty, and doubt are not valid
Mm.
things. They're conditioned experiences.
Yeah.
Why, in some conditions, somebody's considered brave and somebody's not considered brave. Why, in some conditions, particularly in crisis management teams, for example, your biggest issue is people losing their heads,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah. Making
When
mistakes
when
just because
when
they're yep
they're
over.
panicking like
Yep.
mad, running around, right?
Yep.
And other people don't. Well, when we talk about the key component of power skills, we're talking about skilled awareness versus skilled unawareness, right? This skilled awareness is driven by self-control,
Yeah.
right? So skilled awareness, self-awareness, self-control, mapped with empathy and social skills.
Hmm.
These are the beginnings of emotional intelligence, right? We were just having a discussion yesterday with some of our partners that we have in London. We're talking about data literacy. And one of the partners there was talking about how the data literacy for him includes soft skills, curiosity, and that curiosity, the use of your imagination, all right, is a key component of being able to unlock future solutions,
Yeah.
innovative
To,
solutions,
to give
etc.
some sort of semi-tangible examples, sort of, so that people get this idea, I think one of the ways to think about this is, if you're faced with something unknown or something you have a hard time understanding, and this can be, you're not very comfortable with computers and someone asks you to do something for the first time on your computer. It can be there's a crisis in your company and you do not know what the protocols are and how to react to it. It can be any form of situation where there are unknowns. Imagination is going to be the thing that gets you out of it, because you're going to start thinking of, okay, what are the ways I can approach this? What are the implications? How can it affect my situation? How can it affect my company? That is imagination. That is letting your mind find possibilities and possible solutions in possible situations. So in terms of data literacy, it can be simple as imagining what a certain item of data can do and can be used for. There's lots of talk about personal information, right? And trying to prevent people from misusing personal information. Lots of people don't understand that if, your name, email address, and address are available somewhere online, that can be used in lots of different ways by people with good or bad intentions. You have to be able to imagine that. You have to be able to explore in your mind, what could I do with this? So
Well,
that's what we're talking about.
yeah. I mean, if imagination is, I think, one of the core components in, it's a skillful means, all right, to be able to deal with negative emotions. And negative emotions are the key component that actually holds back performance.
Okay.
If we're talking about one, if you've favored hard skills as part of your life,
Yeah.
right, then how can you use that formatting and template to understand soft skills?
Yeah.
You can't.
Yeah.
What you're going to do is say, okay, as we're talking there, you're going to do a 1 day course in soft skills and Bob's your uncle, that's it.
Yeah.
Okay, everybody's soft skills trained. No, it's no way. It's a skill that
Yeah.
requires, it's like moving from white belt to black belt, right? So then black belt first dan, black belt second dan, black belt. And it requires constant training within that. There's a total, you know, paradigm change coming with how we actually train.
Yep.
Training for the acquisition of knowledge is not the same as training for the acquisition of power skills.
Yep.
So here, this importance of soft skills is both underestimated and misunderstood.
Yep.
And yet these are the skills that you're going to need for fostering, genuine collaboration and innovation, particularly as this is leading to the strategy of multi-team strategies across organization. As you're growing the concept of empowered teamwork,
Yep.
as you're flattening your organizations, as you bringing down the decision making to the lowest area in the organization closest to the point of need, well, people need to step up.
Yep.
They have to step up their skills. They have to get better at what they do, and they have to stop waiting for other people to tell them what to do. At the same time, leaders need to change the way they think about how they're giving instructions and stop telling people what to do and giving them missions and saying, guys, get on with it. Come and tell me what it is you need to do. Here, what are we talking about then? It's the role of the mental game. That mental game is imagination. It's about conquering negative emotions with positive emotions, and it's about creative thinking, communication, and collaboration.
Yep.
You know?
Yeah. No. And generally we're sort of there's this notion that if you actually if you focus on developing, I'd say you can always take it in the sense that if you focus on developing power skills, it will become easier and more natural for your organization to flatten, for people to take responsibility, for people who are in current positions of power to share responsibility, right?
Mm.
because they'll have more confidence and more and a better understanding of how other people work. So generally, you have to focus on how everyone perceives, the inside their mind perceives skills and skill sets, not just their own, but also everyone else's, and that's a game changer.
I think so. I think that I mean, you and I've had this discussion about what's coming up.
Yeah,
We know the AI is massive. I know there's a lot of negativity around it, but there's also a lot of positivity. I think it's going to be like all innovation. It's going to scare people at the
yeah.
beginning, and then it's going to become like a calculator. All right. But I think that's I'm just it's a little bit easy to say it like that, but I think what we're living through is going to be some of the most massive changes that society's ever lived through. And
Yeah,
so AI is one part of it, but then you've got 3D printing. You
yeah,
know, when you're going to 3D print a house, you're going to 3D
yeah.
print a car. You know, quantum computers, biotechnology. Well, what do these changes bring? Fear, uncertainty, and doubt. So
And,
not
and
only do we,
and just to add, also something that's very much fear based, and that is a type of change and massive disruption that's coming. Is we talk about climate change. We know there are going to be more and more disasters and various different types, ecological disasters, probably some forms of massive heat waves and floods, etc. So change is coming on all fronts.
hmm?
And yes, it is scary. Everyone agrees that it is scary.
Uh,
There's no
but
denying
it's
it.
it's the ability to have an inner skill set that allows you to adapt to these changes
Yeah.
successfully. That's the competitive advantage, not just for organizations, but for us as individuals and us as a culture. You know, if you're focusing on just external strategies,
Yep.
well, some of them are important.
Yeah.
But if you haven't got the center correct,
Yeah.
all right, then you're going. My opinion, but I think you're going to fail because you're going to get caught out.
Yeah.
You know, when somebody does something different in the game plan, I mean, basically most businesses are one game plan versus a game plan in the marketplace. When their game plan in the marketplace changes or your game plan changes because there's a competition, how quick can you move to adapt to those changes,
Yep.
whatever those are? You know, because it's quite likely that the value proposition that you carry as a business will not come from competitors that are directly within your market now. They'll come from outside, come in and commodify what you're doing with
Yep.
a new process or a new piece of technology and so on and so forth.
I think sort of to close to close this argument and sort of bring this to a close. One of the things that's also important is throughout this we've been talking about companies and your place within a business. But everything we've talked about is also true at a more personal level, right? With friends, with family,
Hmm?
everything is these skills are not just something that you want to develop for your business. They're also something that you want to develop them for yourself.
Hmm?
So if there's one thing to sort of walk away from this conversation with is that focusing on power skills is something that will help you across the board, that will help you
Hmm?
personally, that will help you professionally. And at the level of a company, it can help the entire organization move forward a lot faster and adapt to changes a lot quicker.
I think you're right. I think that if you create self-awareness and self-control, it means you're creating insight. Like, what are you creating insight? Well, you're creating insight into the role of negative emotions that actually stop you growing. You know, organizations are going to, I mean, I'm going to finish on the organizations are
Yeah,
facing a new structure in terms of how they shape their very being, you know, because instead of it being a single purpose organization that makes money for people at the very top or the shareholders, here you're going to have to be talking about an organization that has a shared purpose for
yeah,
all that are involved in the endeavor. And then part of that shared purpose has got to be built around the concept of growth mindset, right? That people can grow, which is not part of the IQ hard skills mindset,
Yeah.
and that's then built into a real relevance around community,
Yeah.
right? In terms and the sense of that we live on a planet that's fragile, and that part of the shared purpose through the growth mindset to the planet is that what we're doing as a set of ethics that's not scoring the biggest own goal humanity's ever going to do, you know. And as while there's a generation of people that exist within businesses that who are hard skills trained find great difficulty these changes that are coming through, Gen Z and earlier generations are coming through without a shadow of a doubt as these as key principles of how they're going to live their lives, along with the other principles. So I think, to wrap this up, I think that what's taken place is this big movement within the business world, and not just within the business world, but within education, is that PowerSkills are the game changer. They're the significant collaborative intelligence that's going to make a difference between your personal and professional success.
Yeah. Yeah.
So,
Food for thought.
on that note,
Yeah. Well, we'll see you guys next week, and
well, yeah,
have a great
and
one.
and I would just before you dive off, just say please press
Like,
the like button
subscribe,
below and
comment.
subscribe,
Yep.
and we'll see you guys on the next one. Bye bye.
Absolutely. Ciao.